Hey, soul survivors, we are back. We are live, checking in to see how you guys are doing. Got another fantastic nap. I gotta get out of this pattern where I just keep taking naps, but it felt good. Now that the weather's starting to change, just kind of taking advantage of the nice cold weather and just enjoying life. So how's everybody doing today? We are live. I love it. Hold on one sec. But I got people joining in. Good to have you. We got random and gotta have it scroll up. I see the J, but it'll tell me your name in a second. But today was a good day. I'm here. I'm here. It went live. Debbie, log in. And it says keep going. They're letting viewers know that we are live, but I'd love to hear. I gotta reply. One sec. Let's see. I don't know if it's going to just here. Log in. All right. I got problems, but how's everybody doing? Oh, dang it. Now I ruined everything. Am I still live? Invite friends to watch. So I'll send her a little invitation. Hi, Bill and T. And was it unkeeler? One keeler, but one keeler. What does that mean? What does that mean? There you are, Debbie. I'm trying to notify you, and it didn't go through. But hi, so you're nice and clean. Just took a shower, just like me. It feels good. It was a good shower today. It took a lot longer than I thought, and I am at the lake where I have like what's it called, like a septic tank, and it started like. The toilet started having like air bubbles coming in. I'm dang it. Like this has been such an expensive week. Probably like $3,000 this week, just out the door. Cause it's going to cost almost $500 to have that drained. I got to do it every few months. I just moved in here in April. So kind of trying to see how long the septic tank holds, but your arm was burning, so you had to change your bandage. How's that healing for you? And I did get a notification. Jolie, Dog Defender, is alive, so that is good. I haven't heard from her in a long time. I like to keep up with my viewers, and she was struggling with some health issues. And sometimes she said she felt like a burden to other people. And, as we age, we're going to go through different things. And the people that really care about us, sometimes need us. And, there are people that feel like a burden to others. And I also had another friend just got his car. He hasn't had a car in about a year, and he was always there for his friends. And when he needed a favor, they didn't return it. Mysterious hygiene. You're here and resting, sleep. So what is it, that makes you want me to be a rock star? I've been having some advice to do some music. What made you think? I used to play the clarinet, got my piano right over there. And I used to be in like some singing dance groups, like show choir. But my ears pop now. And Jeff says, just an old cowboy. What you looking for? Looking for... Jeff, just being naughty. Hi, Mimi. I was thinking about you yesterday. I'm still struggling. I have a blood test in the morning for my cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Bud. Yes. Thank you, Marissa, for liking the live. I appreciate that. Debbie says, saw her today. She did a culture and thinks it's cancer. She will call me next week and let me know what's going on. If it is, she will do it in her office. Thinks it's skin cancer. I know both my parents had that. My grandma had it. So I got to kind of watch. I got, you can't really see. You can kind of see right there. It just feels a little indented. So I got to get that. You're sleepy. I know. I had the best nap. It was so nice. So nice. But, yeah, tomorrow. Okay. So I started telling you guys that we had a pep rally today. We got homecoming this weekend, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go to homecoming. They do need some chaperones. Our theme is old money, so it'll be kind of fun to dress up like a rich person. I don't know what I would put on. I have all my costumes from my costume business. So yeah, Mysterious is nice and sleepy. And we were talking about dreams and also sleep paralysis. They do want to do a sleep study on me. So I got that. I got 4 tests I got to do. And feel free to join in on the conversation. Tell me how things are going. Mimi, how's your day going? And it was kind of fun watching a little pep rally. We have like a Hispanic culture club, and I love watching them dance. They can tear it up. It's really neat watching them. On next Tuesday, they are opening up ballroom dance again. I used to do ballroom dance. I don't know. I need a partner. I don't know if my partner can go. He's been sick lately. It was fine, I guess. Mimi says, good. Yeah, we have our good days and got to enjoy them. But Mimi, when do you find out? Or I'm sorry, Debbie, when do you find out about that? I know sometimes that's kind of stressful. I had to have that done. I had this weird thing happen with my leg, and it turned like all red from like the knee down. Hi, Chucky. It was the weirdest thing. But what happened is the night before, I was holding this big tub of toys. My grandkids came over, and I was taking it down into the basement, and I almost fell. So I stomped really hard on my foot. And from the knee to my ankle was kind of like a rash looking thing before this happened. And then I stomped on my foot. That's the only thing that was different. And I wake up in the morning, my whole foot is like blood red. And so they're like, it could be cancer. It could be a blood clot. It could be this, could be that. And so they did like a cancer screening, and it was kind of like leaky capillaries. It was the weirdest thing, but I was fine, but it stained my skin for like a year. Isn't that crazy? Next week. Okay, well, definitely keep me posted on that. I love hearing how you guys are doing. Luckily, if you catch it, they can take care of it. So Courtney is here watching. I just got off the phone with her, and feel free to hit those likes and love. I appreciate that. So I just got out of the shower, feeling pretty good. Run is here. Hey. But yeah, the more you guys comment, the more it helps with the algorithm, gets more people in the chat. And I see on my topics, the most popular ones deal with like the new supply, and will they win in the end? And it's called a personality disorder for a reason. Most of my stuff deals with narcissism and trying to have healthy relationships, when to leave, when to stay, what can work out, who can change. And it's part of their personality. So even when they try to change, it's very awkward for them. And they have a different way of thinking. It's like they think in reverse. So they have some like paranoia. And I know Courtney and I were just talking about how some of us can sometimes say, I'm sorry, a little too much. And what happens? Why do we apologize so much? Debbie says, question, how can the narc track you on social media? Very easily. Very easily. Good question, though. They can have fake profiles. They can utilize their flying monkeys to have other people check in on you, or they can just directly do it. And Walter says, what are you surviving from? I'm a survivor all around. I'm a burn victim, S8, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is like the narcissistic abuse and what it does to you, because it actually causes brain damage. And, when you put your trust in someone, and a lot of us have gone through this where you're just searching for answers because it makes no sense, because sometimes they're really nice to you and other times they're absolutely horrible. And it's very confusing, and the cognitive dissonance where you try to justify things. So, yeah, I am a survivor of life and the twists and turns. And like Debbie says, we're not brainless yet. Yeah, there comes a point where you're like, something's got to give. And I know a lot of people have really been hurt by people that should have loved them. And there's also times that we misunderstand people. Melissa says, did you say that narcissistic behavior causes brain damage? It does. It does. And I have some videos on my YT. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I think you guys know, the little red thing. So I talk about the brain damage in us and also the brain damage that happened to the narcissist. And I have some brain scans. And there's like an orphanage where, a person was visiting and was asking the nurse, like, you have all these babies, none of them are crying. How do you do that? And they're like, we just don't cuddle them. Eventually they'll figure it out and they'll stop crying. And they did brain scans on this one orphan, and there's so much like dead area that's because of the neglect. And the narcissist, they went through some traumas that affected them. Sometimes too, I talk about how the over cuddling the golden child, how that can cause them to um, become entitled or feel that they're above other people, but it does cause brain damage. And there are ways that you can rewire your brain. It can be painful. Mr. French says, you're quite interesting, dear. Degree in psychology. So I do have psychology behind me. I am certified to teach psychology in the state of Michigan. And I've been accepted into the master's program for getting my LPC, licensed practical clinician type thing for therapy counselor. So Melissa says, yes, live with the golden child. And yeah, they can be quite entitled. So as far as I'm like trauma informed, I have all these certificates for like life coach and on and on and on. Relationship expert, all these kind of things. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just make it official, because sometimes you need that piece of paper, even if you know a lot of things. So thank you for asking. But living with the golden child, sometimes that causes low self-esteem in us. Like, why am I not good enough? And it's hard. So Walter says, I have wonderful college credentials. Tell me about you. And Heavenly says, I said hi. Did I miss it? Hello, hello. Oh, look at that angry face. Got some anger coming at me. But I know you love me. You have your doctorate in psychoanalysis. And they never talked about the brain damage. It does cause brain damage. I'd love to do a podcast with you if you are up for it. Cynthia at asoulsurvivor.com. Feel free to email me if you want to do an in-depth discussion. I love doing podcasts with people. What are some things that you've noticed, Melissa, or anybody with a mental illness? Because I think what do I think of psychoanalysis? I was just thinking about that today, like an hour ago, half hour ago, about like the personality tests and things like that. I kind of have somewhat of a problem, but there's also kind of some truth to it, because a lot of times I think on the intent on why people do what they do. And so I know that how does it go? I was asked by a therapist about there's like a question, like, do you feel people don't understand you? Do you feel misunderstood a lot? And sometimes there are certain personality disorders that will say that people feel misunderstood. And I'm like, not crazy. There's like legit times I am misunderstood. And then I started thinking that it goes a little deeper on why we stick with the people we stick with. So it's not so much that we're misunderstood, but why we're being around people. Because a narcissist a lot of times will twist things, and you're like, no, but this is what I mean. I mean it kind-hearted and this and that. You go through everything. So sometimes too, it might have to do with why we're in the relationships we're in. Mimi says, he's asking, how am I doing? I'm like, you should already know. Who's asking? Your dad? Who's asking that? And thank you, Heavenly. Look at all that. Heavenly's going to sleep. Well, thank you for coming in. Melissa says, no, it's not about personality. No, I know. So psychoanalysis. I think there's some validity to it. Do you have certain questions about it? I kind of wish we could just do brain scans on people instead of like personality inventories or talk therapy, because you can see a lot. The depressed brain reacts differently, alcohol brain, all that kind of stuff. But Melissa says people need to understand that they behave in a way because of their life experiences. Exactly. And sometimes it's just little things. Like I talked about, my mother told me this one story about this lady who was all excited, and she's like, this Christmas he's going to propose to me, and she was all excited, just had this gut feeling, and then he shows up and he gives her a dozen roses, and she's like, are you freaking kidding me? We've been together how long? And this is what I get roses. And so she took the roses and threw them into the fireplace. It turns out her engagement ring was in that dozen roses. So I took that little story and I took it as, you need to be patient sometimes. I've been too patient. I've been screwed over because I've been too patient. But why did I do that? I did that because of just some little story my mom told me. It wasn't a traumatic event. It was just one little story. And Ron says, I don't know. I've been tortured and I went a long time being a good human before I snap from the weight of the pain and the stress. Yeah, there's times we had that break, and sometimes we have the reactive abuse. So Mimi, tell me who you're talking about. Good night, Heavenly. So yes, I know it's not about the personality test. So it's what I was thinking about earlier, though. But you're right. The behaviors are from our past. Mimi says it's so annoying, but that's the thing. Dad's trying to check in on you. Okay. Take all my likes. I will. Oh, look at you crying. The messages, I'm trying to scroll up. Melissa says, we behave a way and we have to understand that others don't understand. Yeah, because we look from our perspective. And, if I was to tell somebody that I stayed in a toxic relationship for too many years because, my mom told me about roses. They're like, what the heck are you talking about? So Mimi, Dad's trying. And I know maybe a little too late, but Dad is trying. So tell him, talk to him. Melissa says we have to be accountable for ourselves and our behaviors. And I agree with that. Sometimes our needs, are they really needs? And there was one lady, I talk about that high value thing, and it's a high value woman looking for the high value man, whatever. But she was talking about her needs because she's being a little promiscuous right now. And she wants like the perfect guy, and she's just fulfilling her needs right now. It's not a need. It's not a need. Okay. It's a desire. And we have to understand that sometimes we justify things that are they necessarily in our best interest because we deserve a monogamous relationship and what we're presenting. So technically, yeah, we can do what we want. We can do what we want, but it's changing how she's being perceived. And, when we start saying that we need certain things, sometimes it's good to wait. But yeah, Melissa, great point. And Mimi's like, I'm talking about my dad. I know just why. But he's trying. Tell him how you're doing. And, there's times that in these relationships that people start getting burnt out. Like I've already tried talking to him. But this time Dad's trying. How do you feel about opening up to him? Because sometimes it gets scary. We don't know if we should open up or not. And that's how we have to learn how to talk to people. So Melissa says we all have to understand our part and to be accountable. And sometimes when we hurt someone, I talked about my butt. When I was growing up, you wanted the teeny tiny butt, and I have like a fuller hip and full butt. I was also a little heavier too. And so back then you didn't want a big butt. And then you get where everybody wants the big butt. And I used to have guys compliment, you got some thick thighs. And okay. So they're trying to compliment me. They are trying to compliment me, but it's uncomfortable to me. Okay. So I can handle it. I know they're trying to be nice, but there's times you can hurt someone and you're like, what the heck? Like was complimenting her. I told her she had nice thick thighs and fat ass or whatever. So sometimes we have to understand our people and be accountable that we have to listen. So is it necessarily we're doing something wrong? Is it wrong to say, I like your thick thighs? No, as long as it's an appropriate relationship. But we have to understand our people. Melissa says people who are looking for a spouse out of desire for anything won't work. I love that. You just need to love them. And, some of us have this expectation of Prince Charming or me. But sometimes our expectations will mess with us. Or when we try to accept less on what we need. So, if I need somebody who will help me grow spiritually in Christianity, and then I take on somebody from a different religion, was that necessarily what I needed? So we have to know what we need. And to say no to things that don't suit our needs. Sometimes we get so excited, and in the long run, it could cause problems. Doesn't always cause problems if you guys are different than me. That's fine if you're different than me. Mimi says it's so annoying. Why do people do that? It's like, why he want to try now? He could have been trying all along. So there are some realizations sometimes we have, like, whoa, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe he's trying to relieve some of his own guilt. Like, I was kind of a jerk to her. Or he feels the disconnect. He might feel a disconnect and he's trying to reconnect. It sounds like your dad's got some stuff going on, and sometimes he needs to refocus. So that's where it's kind of like considered reactive abuse, or when the relationship becomes toxic. So now he's trying, but now you don't want to. And we have to think, what do we want? Do we want a better relationship? And there's different ways to kind of re-guide this relationship. So are you willing to give him a chance to show up for you? Because later on in life, you're like, my dad never tried to be there for me. And this is a time he is trying to be there. So there are times relationships can come out of the toxicity. Both people need to want it. Both people need to change. And that's where the hurt feelings come in and keep it stagnant. So Melissa says people who are looking for a spouse. I agree with that. It won't work. Mimi says I'm not opening up no more, seriously. And that's where the relationship starts to fall apart. So that's up to you. That is up to you. Sometimes we want to protect ourselves. And Melissa says, Mimi, I had expectations and prayed for my spouse. I waited, and 32 years later, we are still in love. Yeah, I'm glad you said praying, because I've resisted talking about the spiritual component of it. And there's so much to it that I can't hold it back anymore. There's something, following God's plan really makes a difference, because I've talked about how people justify certain things, just like that lady justifying that we have free will. We can sleep around all we want. We can. But is that necessarily going to bring us what we want? Because it's going to change the way guys look at her, or change the confidence that a guy has. He's going to feel like, I'm with her now. I'm in the top 100 of choices, as opposed to she chose me. And also, how secure is somebody going to feel if you can just be with other people? So perceptions and everything. Melissa says we can't give up on each other. I agree. And Mimi says, no, I'm done. I had enough. And this is where I feel like the devil takes over. That he wants to destroy relationships. So you say it's been falling apart. And I know that's really painful. We can either accept that and let it fall apart, or we can fight like hell to keep our family together. And I know sometimes it hurts too much. Sometimes it does hurt too much. But Melissa says God brought us together because of prayer. And that's why it's good too if your spouse is on the same page. So Mimi says, I'm not fighting anymore. And that's a choice you're going to make. you know, or sometimes we can take a step back. But, you know, there are people who are extremely, remember your vows. Yes. And when you get into that relationship, a lot of people um, are, they have that comfort. We can just get divorced if it doesn't work out. And I'd like to know everybody's opinion on this because I kind of struggle with it. Because I was engaged. We had a child together and I did things out of order. So maybe this is my karma. Did things out of order, but we had a child together. We were living together and we were engaged for about a year. And 3 weeks before the wedding, he wanted to postpone it. Couldn't tell me why. And I had already had my bridal shower, sent out my invitations, and I got scared. I'll be honest. I got scared. It's like, and I talked about how I had to finish the last part of my degree and I was starting it. So whatever area, you had to stay in that college. And where I was, it was across state. So I had no help. Hi, Zanny. And so I ended up going to my comfort where my parents could help me. They could help me babysit. I was scared if he's calling off this wedding, is he going to call off our relationship? And I'm homeless and without a job and money to support my child. So I left. And, you know, should I have stayed? You know, was I the one that left the relationship? Or I don't know. But Melissa says we married because we were both ready to make that lifelong commitment. Exactly. So the commitment, we were supposed to get married and I felt like the commitment was kind of taken away. And he had asked me for a prenuptial. Now I was 22 years old when this happened. And I felt that and as I get older, I don't know how I feel on it, but I told him, like I was never selfish, and I felt that signing the prenuptial was talking about divorce. And he said something like, well, if we give it 7 years, we'll just, you know, and it can expire after 7 years. And I was foreseeing that in the 6th year, it would make me uncomfortable. Like, is he going to leave me so he doesn't have to share any of this money if anything went wrong? And then like he's preparing for this divorce almost. So I felt uncomfortable on that. Should I have signed the prenuptial and just had faith? But how do you guys feel about that? Did I make a mistake or did I do the right thing? Melissa says we both came from money, so we didn't have anything to do with that. I know. And that's where it's like, should I have just signed it? But the 7th year, 6th to 7th year, would he have bailed on me because he got scared? Or would it change my self-esteem to where I'd be walking on eggshells and it would change how I would act around him? I would have never left him, you know, but I did when he postponed the wedding. So was I lacking in the commitment? Was it my fault? Was it, I don't know, hindsight. It would have been 2 days ago, 30 years we would have been married and we were negative 3 weeks. Melissa says, if you had money, you should have yours. I was 22. And then like, yeah, I was 22 and I had no debt. He came from a rich family. He didn't have that money yet. So yeah, I don't know. But when we broke up, I didn't even take a Diet Coke with me. Like I was not after his money. So it's kind of sad. Both of us never married. And I'm 54. He's 7 years older than me. Mimi says, is y'all talking about relationships? Of course we are. Run says my relationships all ended in the 7th or 6th year. And there's something to 7 years. I'd like to hear what you guys think, because, you know, we rejuvenate ourselves every 7 years. 7 is like a biblical number. Yeah. Ron says money doesn't mean shit. It's the souls, the faithfulness. I know. That's why it's so sad. Melissa says a lot of guys used me too when I was young. I did have money. And I know that's why, like, now I have a lake house and, you know, a nice salary. And so you gotta kind of, I don't know. Now that I'm 54, we were really young, but well, youngish, not super young. We were the right age to begin. But now I kind of wonder what would I do if I were to get married? Would I want a prenuptial? Because, and I didn't really even understand like everything that we would have moved forward with, we could have split. Um, I don't know. You know, hindsight's 2020, but me, you're not gonna leave. Me. Um, But yeah, there's something. Run. What was it in the 7th or 8th year? I have a friend who never makes it past 5 years. Something about 5 years. Run says, I don't care if she broke or rich as long as she's faithful and not cheating and has some financial sense. We're good. Yeah, there's times, and that's what it is. You know, building a life together, not taking advantage of each other, getting through life. And so to me, it seemed like the commitment was lacking. Like we live together, have a child together, and so what's 5 years? I have a friend who their relationships never go past 5 years. Are you saying what's 5 years? Like that's a drop in the bucket? Is that what you mean? Um, Melissa says, didn't know how bad they could be at the time. Exactly. Me. Zanny says, I'm so done feeling uncomfortable, uncertain, etc., etc. Someone has to defy my logic. And I know when, like, because how I was talking about if that situation happened and we were in that 6th or 7th year, like even if it changed my self-esteem or my perception on feeling comfortable, it changes the dynamics of the relationship. And it's also almost like self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's almost like I foresaw this happening. But when we start feeling uncomfortable or uncertain, we have to realize, is this a good relationship? And we have power over it. And when we have, like if I was in that 6th or 7th year and I had the self-confidence, well, of course he's not going to leave me. We're going to get through this. But sometimes, have I lived with a narcissist? Definitely, avoidance. Yeah. I've been, it's hard to say for sure because, a lot of the abuse was afterwards. And then the other one I didn't live with. And just the lies and the manipulation and the future faking. So, did I live with a narcissist? I lived through narcissistic abuse. We'll put it that way. Because they, not like, it's on a spectrum. So, as far as like, slapping me around and pushing me and kicking me and all that kind of stuff, I didn't go through that kind of stuff. But everything else is so classic. It's so classic. And how afterwards, just trying to control me, trying to destroy me, trying to financially destroy me. Like I went to jail for 4 days because I said, you have to call back. I just grounded her. Can you call back? And he talks to her 40 minutes late. So I got fined $100 denying his parenting time from one side of the state. And then the other side of the state had where I had to notify. So I couldn't contact him, but I had to contact him. So no matter what I did, it was a catch-22. I'm going to get screwed no matter what. And this was before caller ID. So I say hello because I talked to him, because I tried to be a good parent and say, look, just let her go upstairs. She just started going upstairs. Let her sit down for like even 30 seconds. And I wasn't trying to deny his parenting time. I was very specific. I go to jail for 4 days. And, also my degree is in criminal justice. I've gone on and become a teacher. But, as soon as he found out where I worked, I lost my job. And he had something to do with it. Telling my parents that he's going to financially destroy me and them. Police report after police report, which were fraudulent or exaggerated. Like, yeah. just trying to destroy me afterwards. So, storyline of your life, Ricky. Oh my gosh. We were married -3 weeks. We were together like 7 years or something like that. And 3 weeks before the wedding, he wasn't ready. And that's what I was talking about with like, should I have signed the prenuptial? Is that what held him back? But yeah. And then, like when I was doing Lamaze, I paid for it. And then it was 6 weeks and he went the first 5. I was all excited about everybody, all the moms, like these little care packages of, bottles and bibs. And I was just like so happy for all of us. And he didn't want to go to the last one, and this was our child, on and on. So yeah. So Ricky, you've gone through some crap too. And that's the thing, it could be a man or a woman that does this. So Ron says they cheated on me or was manipulated by other guys with more money or materialistic things and didn't help cult interference that was taking orders. Yeah. So what kind of cult interference? I know you've talked about that a little bit before. Zanny says, Run, that sounds very confusing. Cult involved. That would be a bizarre twist. And there are like full-fledged David Koresh kind of cults. And then there's also like the little micro ones. There's one guy on TikTok who I think he's got a cult following. And it's really disturbing to see how many broken people there are, where he has it where he's telling people to worship him, call him master, and he says that he has this power to put demons into people, and people are begging him to do it. And why would somebody want a demon in them? Do they really know what they're opening themselves up to? And I feel that people just want that because it's a manipulation tactic, where you feel that you have this power to get what you want. So Mimi, thank you for liking the live. And we got lots of people joining in. Run says if they say have a threesome, they will. It's crazy. Yeah, and like threesomes, polyamorous, all that kind of stuff, that usually doesn't work out. And I've been following like sister wives, that didn't work out too well. He's only with Robin now. Is he still with her? But and just his perception on doing the best, it's like, no, you were selfish wanting how many women? And there's times there are good things that they do, helping pay the bills or whatever, but yeah, it's like self-gratification, self-satisfying. Mimi says, what is wrong with people? There's a lot of hurt people in life, and Americans chasing that American dream. Sometimes we forget, family should be the American dream, not what you have. There's a lot of stressors that we go through, and we don't necessarily have coping skills. And I see the new generation. Are we coddling them, or are we, I don't know. Each generation tries to compensate, and a lot of people do want the best for their children, but the way they do it sometimes turns out toxic. And co-host Lil G, let me know how that goes. I might accept you. I got to figure out how that goes with the co-host. King is here. Tom, nice to have you. Oh my gosh, lots of love from Tom. So Mimi says, I wish people would understand me. And sometimes we have to learn how to communicate a little different, because we can't change other people. So sometimes, what is it that you want them to understand? So sometimes we can break it down to that. And Mimi's like, stop spamming. There you go. See? Nice and direct. And I can block you guys too. So don't spam. You can spam the likes, but yeah, when you bring more people into a relationship, that's not usually good. It's not. It adds more stressors and could be hurt feelings. Mimi says, I want to understand everything. And I talked about my dad, how he was struggling to understand everything. And right before he passed, he felt like this epiphany from God, where I talked about those post-it notes where they had questions on them. Some were answered very directly, very distinctly. Others were kind of foggy, like you get the gist of it. And then the other post-it notes were like indecipherable. And so he took it as a sign, like, it's okay not to know everything. And, there are times we have to understand ourselves. Do we want to understand people to understand that we're hurt? Maybe we have to understand them, why they can't show up, and understand ourselves too. What is it we're lacking? Are we putting too much pressure on our friends because we're lonely? Maybe we need to expand things that keep us comfortable. Mimi says, I want them to understand everything. Yeah, and sometimes they won't, or we need to discuss it a different way. Calibri is here. Hi, Cynthia. Update. I finally cut off my narc sisters and my golden child brother. I better be serious this time to maintain my no contact. Yeah. If they're not willing to work through things, or if they are starting to damage your brain. There are times we do need to either walk away or take a break, or to let people know we're serious. Sometimes we can put up boundaries like, look, if you're going to keep doing things this way, I have to walk away. And that's sad. Sometimes it'd be nice if we could work things out. But some people, when they're in a certain state of mind, they don't listen to reason. It's like a block and self-preservation. So did you notify them, or you just kind of made the decision? So how do you feel about that, Calibri? I know sometimes it's hard, but you've been struggling with that. So that can give you some peace too. Calibri says, they insulted me during Gay Pride weekend. Never did they accept me. Their niceness was all at the surface level. So Zandy says, go Calibri, stay strong. Yeah, so we just want to be loved. We're not here to judge. So I feel people who don't understand a gay person and their desires or whatever, that you don't have to understand it. You don't have to understand it, but you can't change people, but you can still love them. So yeah, that's hard, I'm sorry for that, we should all love each other and not judge each other, because you say, and my mid sister was the church lady who I suspect poisoned my other siblings. And that's where it gets tricky. You try to be the good Christian, and then, you're condemning people or giving them a hard time. And then, the hard part though is, so where are you, Calibri, in your faith on things? Mimi says, I'm not being nice anymore. I can't with people. So if you're not going to be nice to them, then it's a tricky situation. It is a tricky situation. Don't give up on all people. If people are there for you, be nice to them. Sometimes we punish people because we're hurt. And are we punishing the right people? So that's where you start building up walls. And sometimes we just need to change the people we're around, or set up our boundaries different, where we don't have to be nice and give in to people all the time. We don't have to be people pleasers. So we can be nice, but not a doormat. And that's part of growing. That's one thing I've struggled with, is you feel like I have to be nice. I have to be the nice girl. And I was just talking with Courtney on that, about being the nice girl. I think girls struggle with it more than guys. That we're supposed to keep the peace and all this stuff. Zanny said, keep safe, keep a distance, healthy distractions. Healthy distractions. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of people who are struggling, they might get into like beer, alcohol, drugs, promiscuity to distract themselves, but healthy distractions. Pick up a hobby or Kalibi says, I am still a practicing Catholic. I am keeping my faith in my Creator. I know that the Catholic Church is not accepting of people like myself, but I don't answer to them. I answer to my God. And so I know it's yeah. And I do want to ask you, Kalibi, can I ask you a personal question? Let me know if I can open a bag of worms. Can I open a bag of worms? Because I feel that we should love people. But okay, so I love you, and I struggle with this because just like I have done things wrong. I have done things wrong, and I went out of order. I had a child out of wedlock. I lived with him, and look where that got me. So I know that I'm heterosexual. I don't go through what you go through. I know that if I felt as you feel, wanting to be with the same sex, it would be miserable to be with a guy if I didn't feel that. So I mean this with the kindest heart to understand. I know that I, in my life, have justified things because of the way I saw it. And I've talked with a bisexual person. Kalibi says, I respect your views in life. We are not all wired the same. Yeah, so I'm trying to understand and trying to relate it to God because I'm saying my experiences to kind of relate to what you're going through, that I was justifying it. Love is love. And I was talking to a bisexual who is like, love is love. And so was I wrong being with this man who I wasn't following God's word? And that's where like he was trying to justify his bisexual relationships with love is love. So do you feel that I know I wasn't following God's word. So do you feel you're following God's word with your choice in life? And I justified it because it was easier. It's what I wanted. It made me happy. And just like that one lady, I'm sleeping around. I can. So I just wonder how you feel with that. Does that make sense? And I'll love you either way. I'll love you either way. It's not up to me to judge. But sometimes I wonder, are we missing out on blessings because of living our lives the way we want to? So Kalibi says, I am following God's word. The words written on the Bible was put together by men. Good point. Good point. Tay says, love you. I hope you had a good day. I love you too. Good to have you here. It was a good day. Today definitely was. So thank you for following. Mimi says, no Catholic over here. I ain't judging. There you go. Yeah, we're not all, I'm not Catholic. I'm Christian, but so we are all God's children and we got to start somewhere. I agree. And, I agree with that. And, I'm God's child, but I was not doing it the right way. So I just wonder how you guys feel about that. Because sometimes things are hard. Sometimes things don't make sense. But I hope that was okay to ask you, Calibri, because I'm just trying to understand you. And it's a world that's different than mine. So, but we all deserve love. We all deserve love. So you say, look at it this way. We all make mistakes. God is forgiving and loving. I agree. And I love you. Mimi says, you said we are all God's children. I don't think that's true. Why not? And this is the hard part. I do struggle with that because we have free will, and some of us haven't been exposed to whoever feels is the right religion. So if you feel the right religion, I haven't been exposed to maybe yours. Ron says the thing is about the Bible is it gives you good guidance to human nature and evils in the world. Been pretty spot on for a long time. And that's why I always say, looking back, I did things wrong. And Bible says to even be aware of cults. Exactly. Be aware of the Jezebel spirit and all kinds of things. Mimi says not everyone believes in God. Yeah, but we're all created by God, whether you believe in him or not. How's that? So Oliver says, my method is to put one on. Well, good. Kalibi says, and the Bible says a lot about narcissists, people who are lovers of themselves. Zanny. Yeah. And it's also like kind of like a false idol where you become godlike. So everything revolves around you. And we have to be careful too, because sometimes we start worshiping the narcissist where that's our obsession. That's all we're thinking about. And God shuns narcissists. Yeah, a lot of times they do get their karma. They don't get it right away. Maybe it'll be in the afterlife. Oliver says, Oliver, you got me almost reading it again. Naughty, naughty boy. We got Ferris. Good to have you. Might be Ferris. I'm not sure. Ferris. So yeah, God shuns narcissists, and we should live like God. He's setting the example for us. Mimi says, I know we are all created by God, but that doesn't mean we are all his children. We're not all the chosen ones. How's that? Hi there. Did my comment go unnoticed? It might have, Sophia. I am sorry. Let me scroll up. You might have to retype it. Sorry about that. I'm not seeing it, Sophia. Thank you for re-commenting. Guys, yeah, I'm usually pretty good about reading comments. So if I don't get to it, then something happens. So Sophia, please retype it. I do see you. I do want to hear and listen. Debbie says, God took everything away from the narcissist because he follows the devil. And in turn, we lose things too. Like I lost some of my blessings because of guilty by association. Just, if my narcissist is going to get punished, I might have to go along with the ride. So if the narcissist wants to take away the house of the narcissist and I'm living with them, it comes on me too. So we can have more blessings if we're doing things right. Ren says you don't have to believe for it to be true. Air is there because you breathe. We know the gravity, but we can't exactly see it. Yeah. Could you just start floating up? Yeah. And I had somebody, I'd like to know what you guys think. Somebody did not like my comment on how I have noticed like the lunar eclipse or when full moons are out, how people are affected by different energies. And I just said in hindsight, whether it was when I was working at a bar or as a teacher, how you see a difference in how people act around full moons. I think there's something to it. Doesn't always make sense. And then, you can kind of talk about women with their menstrual cycle starting to coincide with each other. Like, how do you explain that? But it does happen. You're affected by barometric pressure. I agree. Did you know I made a barometer with my hair in what grade? It was probably like 7th grade, 5th grade. It might have even been 5th grade. So, yeah, I made this little gauge with blonde hair. My dad helped me make a thing. Sophia, I'm waiting to hear. Oh, I hope you're still here, Sophia. And yes, the moon does make some people act odd. Thank you. Because, man, she was not very happy with me. Which God do I believe in? I believe in my God, that God and Jesus. that omnipotent one. Kalibi says, that's why there are lunatics. That is, oh, Luna. Luna means moon. Thank you for saying that. I love that. Luna means moon in Spanish, and what is it in French? Probably the same in Italian or close to that. Huh. You're right. Lunatics. The freaks come out at night. So yeah, the God that I believe in is all-knowing and forgives us, but it's not like we're supposed to keep repeating. We're supposed to learn from our mistakes. Sophia says, oh my God, I did not mean for that to happen. I was trying to erase. What'd you do? What, as far as your comment being seen and you're like, oh. I don't see your comment. Don't worry about it. Yeah, if you have a comment, I'd love to hear it. If not, oops. Not a problem. So yeah, Debbie says there is only one God. I agree. Ron says, I have known that for a long time. I used to be on high alerts on nights of full moon when I would go out with friends. Yeah, because my experience was not where I was like going into school and I'm like, uh-oh, today's going to be a screwed up day. And then the day goes bad. I'm like, oh, it's the moon. It was in hindsight. So that makes a little bit more legitimate. I wasn't acting different because I was assuming what would happen, that sometimes self-fulfilling prophecy. And other people too. I've asked others. We even get like I worked at a school. We even got treats. They give us like star crunches because the moon and the stars and the Milky Way because of the galaxy. And they were talking good luck. It's a full moon. I can't remember the other candy. So that little hugs and kisses because they're like, good luck. It's going to be a full moon today. And Mark says, I wasn't acting different because I was. Let's see. I think you're still typing. Kalibi says, I know that God gave us free will, and that's how he tests us if we learn from our mistakes. Exactly. And yeah, he gives us a free will, but oops, you screwed up instead of me telling. And he kind of tells us, he does kind of tell us what we're supposed to do. And we're like, yeah, whatever. That's not how I want to do it. Or we think that we know better. So sometimes I'm kind of in the, I give up. I'll just follow God's word. It's not working out for me. Ron says the cult and witch, Satanists, warlocks also do a lot of rituals based on moon phases on people and all kinds of things. Voodoo. Yeah. Why did they do that? And yeah, I agree. Debbie says there's only one way to get to heaven, and that's accepting Christ as your Savior. John 3:16. I love it. I love we get to talk about God. Makes me happy. Yay. And Mimi. What's going on, Mimi? Look at that. Oh, see, speak no evil. So, Mark, you weren't acting different? Tell me more. Cliff, good to have you here. Cliff Maxwell. That's a cool name. I dated a Cliff. Do you have green eyes? Was it you? I dated. He had the most beautiful eyes. But yeah, it was a long distance relationship, so that didn't work out. Man, I'm starting to get tired. So before I go, I do have several people in here. So if you guys would like to open up some conversation of what you would like to talk about, I can stay a little bit longer. But yeah, understanding people and, letting go of the toxicity. Sometimes it is the biggest blessing and we don't realize it. But there's also times we can save certain things. So, Mimi, I'm not leaving yet. Meh. I'm not leaving yet. Kalibi says the narcs where I live are practicing witchery. I'm observing their actions and materials. I've been doing studies in witchcraft. Yeah, a lot of people just want to control their own destiny. And sometimes that causes Zandy says, yay, Mimi. Yep, I won't leave yet. I won't leave yet. Won't leave yet. Debbie says, I'm afraid to study witchcraft. Yeah. And, sometimes we have to know ourselves. Do we want to open that portal? Are we too tempted? Do we have addictive personalities? Because just like the narcissist, and I'm not saying we're bad people, we're knowing our limitations. We're protecting ourselves. But like the narcissist, when they go into therapy, they can use it as a way to manipulate people. So if you are still kind of like uncomfortable in your strength, that sometimes when we study witchcraft, we might be opening up the portal to temptation. Like, well, maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I'll just do a little ritual. So also, I get scared studying things like that too, to where are we opening ourselves up for certain things? Because it's kind of nice sometimes being in my nice little naive brain because the temptations aren't there, or paranoias. Sometimes we can hear about what's out there and it can scare us. So maybe we're opening ourselves to paranoia where we're going to start to act differently. Zanny says, a lot of witchery and warlock biz here in Hollyweird. Yeah, there is. And people are drawn to it. Yeah. And there's like I just saw some things with Justin Timberlake, Taylor Swift with that Red era. It's enticing to people, to you also had like I didn't really watch who is Alyssa Milano was in it with Shannon Doherty, I think. I didn't watch it. The Three Sisters or whatever. Can't remember. Witchery is real to a level, and psychics are real, and prophetic people, prophets. Bible speaks of gifts. And we're also not supposed to know the future, though. Mimi says I'm going to cry when I leave. Well, don't cry yet. I'm still here. And Melissa, you're back. Good to have you. If that's the same Melissa. Debbie says when people lose their way in life, it's real easy for them to follow the negative. So a narcissist is a negative thinker. And that's also, the devil working in us, where we start seeing negative. That brings us down that rabbit hole of self-fulfilling prophecy of a negative life and pulling us away from the light. Ron says it ain't called the city of angels for nothing. We need the angels, right? Zanny says, I'm a musician, and when I play on stage, I avoid wearing black as much as I can to not suggest darkness. I do that too with teaching. It's good to have the bright colors. And I need to do this. Dang it, I need to keep a pen here. About the clothing. I don't remember it from the Bible, where they talk about don't mix linen and wool and the vibrations. Even just our clothing there, like there's can affect us, what we put on our skin. And yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see if I'm cranky tomorrow. I don't think this is a cotton sweater or it's definitely not wool. About the vibrations, and I'm affected by color. Color affects us. It's really interesting. We should do a color study. And it's the same, Melissa. Good to have you back. Did you go down a little rabbit hole? What did you experience on your rabbit hole? Kalibi says, Narc's playbook: control, envy, jealousy, negativity, cheating, drama, chaos, lies. Yeah, that is true. And Ron says a lot of owl worship, Baphomet worship, Malloy Baal. Hollywood is full of rituals and symbolism. And I know my dad would not let me watch like Disney stuff. There's a lot of hidden messages in Disney. What do you think about Disney? Zanny says, Tess, I love to two-tone blues, purples. Purple is the hardest color for us to focus on. Did you know that? Debbie says, what kind of Bible do narcissists have? Their own. It's called a photo album. Melissa says, I think that I followed the 10 commandments. The rest of the Bible is insufficient. Yeah, if we can only pick one thing to follow, do the 10 commandments. Yep. And then like all the stories are kind of like trying to get us to understand. But if you follow the 10 commandments and believe in God, and the Savior, that's the big thing too. I know a lot of people with the Bible, they'll take certain things out of context or use it for their benefit. I know, like in the olden days, when let's say I was married and my husband died, my sister's brother might take me on. And, are we justifying polyamorous relationships now? Now it's different. Now we're not in as much of a survival mode, because things were different back then and people can justify it. Mimi says you couldn't watch Disney. That's sad. And I was really, really sheltered. To my detriment. I'm kind of naive. Melissa says that's it. We can do it with the 10. There you go. Yep. As long as we follow it, as long as we understand it. Mysterious says, JWs? What do you mean JWs? JWs. Run says color does affect mood. You're taught about it in graphic design, also in advertisements. Yes, and industrial psychology is one of the highest paying psychology things for a reason, because people profit off of how people are affected by color, by placement, by sound, by lights. And so Mysterious just made a Discord. Do I need to do that? Is that... You got to tell me about that. I don't know if I need to do it. I hear others are doing it. So Kalibi says, whenever I come out of my place and I see the narcs, I try my best to be civil. However, I don't exchange any kind of personal pleasantries any longer. Yeah, sometimes, are we inviting them to keep in our realm? Sometimes it's okay to, let things go. Zanny says, I don't need to chase owls or hawks. They seem to follow me. Also doves, and recently a cockatiel. You said cocktail. I think you mean a cockatiel. Yeah, Hager. Jaeger. I don't know how to say your name. You got to phonetically spell it for me. Our greatest challenge in life is ourselves, and that is perfectly said. You are so correct. And Mimi's out there thinking, Melissa says all of the different things are for God. I agree. And I think I call you Jaeger. Good to have you here. One of these days I'll figure out how to say your name. Cockatiel. I don't know. We got a little Freudian slip here. Cocktail. It just followed you. Mimi says, LOL, I'm yawning. Yeah, it's 12:14. I'll stay on a little bit longer. You guys, I love talking to you. Mysterious says, Haven of Mathematicians Society. Debbie says, I know the narcissist is going crazy, wanting to know what is going on with me. Remember that message I blocked? Yeah, sometimes we get this feeling like I know what's up. So yes, I do live by myself. Do I lie to myself? Sometimes where I'm like, it's going to be a great day. I don't know if do I lie to myself? Sometimes when we like get down and out, like I'm so stupid. I know I'm not stupid. I'm just having a hard time, So that's where the self-love comes in, So when we're down and out, where I'm gonna fuck up today. I need to not do that. So I say I'm gonna get through this. That's a self-love. Or Ron says, gotta stay optimistic. And Melissa, thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the gift. You are the number one gifter today. Melissa says, we are his beings. I agree. Mimi says, you love talking to the screen. Mimi says, how can you lie to yourself? Um, did I just cuss? No, I don't. Potty mouth. Potty mouth. Yeah. Debbie says, no, you don't, Cynthia. So I apologize. I try to keep it clean. I'm human. Yeah, I try not to. My apologies. So Zanny says, yes, let the narcs stew in their pot. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes they got to learn that lesson. Kalibi says, narcs are fast in uttering forgiveness. I just look at them funny. And, yeah, I agree. Zanny says, careful in your building, Kalibi. Try to pay them no mind. Exactly. Mimi says, aren't we all humans? I just proved it. Jaeger says humans are. I agree. Jaeger says humans were born to lie. Cass, yes, Cynthia, good to have you, Cass. And Mimi says someone yelling your name. Oops, that's okay. They're just making it nice and bold. Maybe their cap locks are on. So how's it going, Cass? It's a celebration, I think. Celebration that they see me here online tonight. Zanny says, yeah, to be careful, and I wouldn't stir the pot. I wouldn't make things. Oh, Nirvanica. What a cool name. Nirvanica. I love your name. I've never heard that. Nirvanica. That's a cool name. Kalibi says, Zanny, thanks. I try my best to ignore them, but they play this game in irritating me. I still do not react. That's what we got to do. We got to learn not to be reactive. And Nirvanica, tell me how life's going for you. Feel free to hit that like button. But even in reacting, a lot of things that when things go bad is we react emotionally. So life can be a lot easier when we don't react emotionally. And I kind of learned that in the teaching realm. Debbie says empaths are usually honest. We are the truth tellers. Yes. And we have to be careful that we, sometimes we have too much empathy. I know super empaths sometimes want to fix everything. And sometimes we take away people's learning. Thank you for the follow, Tim. I appreciate that. Where we got to be careful we're not too mothering or too accepting. And I know a lot of empaths struggle with boundaries because we have so much grace for people. And sometimes that can be to our detriment if we're with the wrong people. Like two empaths together, that's great. But when you're dealing with others, Ron says, my ex, after cheating and getting pregnant by someone else, was quick to say, aren't you supposed to be happy for me? I mean, if we weren't in a relationship, but yeah, wow. That's hard. Because what she did was completely against your relationship, and she should have broken up with you first, and sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it hurts when somebody leaves us, but at least it's not as devastating or self-fulfilling. And Zanny says, non-reactive, God's protection is all you need, but I am not scared to split when needed. Yeah, sometimes we gotta go. Sorry about your luck. Debbie says the narc hates it. He said once that I pushed him in a corner. Yep. And I love it. I enjoy watching him squirm. And so this is the thing. I don't think we should enjoy that. You know what I mean? I get it. But that's still the devil kind of working in you. Just let it go. Just let it go. That you can be happy he might be learning a lesson, but I wouldn't celebrate his pain. I would not celebrate his pain. So I get it. I get where you're coming from, but that's coming from a hurt situation. Melissa says, couldn't imagine my husband in my life, 32 years. So are you saying that you never would have seen this blessing coming? 32 years is fantastic. Like I said, 3 days ago would have been 30 years for me. Yeah, it's kind of sad. So I'm negative 3 weeks married. And that's the thing though, is they the toxic people can, even now, it's hard to trust. It's hard to find a good person. You know, Zanny says, I'm sorry, Ron, that must have been hard. Ron says, yep, that was soul ripping. I bet. And then to hear on top of it, well, geez, aren't you happy for me? I just destroyed your life. It's hard. Yeah. Debbie says, I do, but he was lying to me and I caught him. And I get it. I get where you're coming from. I just think it's a personal growth if we don't celebrate somebody else's pain. We can be happy that they're learning. So that's something I've gone through too. Ren says some have no sympathy for what they do. Remorse is non-existent. Yeah, because she's like, what is it? It's a beautiful baby coming and I'm happy and I'm in love or whatever. That's where the empathy and sympathy is lacking. To where, screw you, I'm happy. You should be happy for me. And it's like, okay, I get it. So Melissa says, absolutely. I prayed and God answered. So let's say a prayer for me right now. And that's where the faith is. You have to have faith. And that makes a huge difference because where if you're like, I prayed, I said, God, will you bring me a husband? Probably not, but whatever. I did my part. I prayed. You have to believe in it. And that's the reason you have to believe in it is because it's going to change how you present yourself. So if I prayed like tonight, if I go to bed and I'm like, yeah, God, bring me my husband and I believe you're going to do it, which I really don't because it's taken forever. When I go out and I meet someone, I'm going to be like, yeah, I doubt this is the one. So I'm going to present different and that person's going to perceive me different. And so Melissa says, you are good. Give it up to him. Yeah. And I'm kind of at the point where if it's meant to be, it'll be. And I need to have the faith that'll happen, and that's one thing I kind of struggle with. Yeah. I believe if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And I want to get to the point where I believe there's somebody for me. I am tired of being single. I am. But I would rather be single because I've had to my head essayed on and on and on. I'd rather be single than go through any of that stuff or to invest in somebody just to have them take my house or leave me high and dry. So there's pros and cons to it. Melissa says you have to let it go. He will give you what you need. Yeah. And I agree with that. Like I've overcome a lot. I have overcome a lot. And I feel that God will give me what I have faith in. So I definitely believe that. And I think God is testing my faith right now. And when I have the faith, things fall into place. When I falter, when I kind of question it, that's when things fall apart. So I am living proof right now that when you have faith, things fall into place. But there are times it's a struggle because we get frustrated or we are on our time instead of God's time. Ron says, I've been solo for almost 7 years. I've been solo for like 30 with a toxic relationship in between for 20 years. Mimi says, I can't wait for fall break. When does your fall break start? I think we have our next break is Thanksgiving. Do you call it fall break? They keep changing the names. Is that fall break? Melissa says, put yourself in the places he says you need to be. Listen, I agree. He's talking to me right now. That's why I think October 7th, I am going to take the dive. I think I'm going to get my professional license in counseling. I've been called to it and putting it off. Daniel is here. Feel free to hit that like. Tell me how your day's going. You think in 2 weeks. Okay. So tomorrow is professional development for us. 2 weeks. What would that be? I think we have only one day off in October for Columbus Day. So you're pretty lucky on that. Melissa says, yeah, I agree. Put yourself in the places. And I was just talking to that. Courtney, I don't know if you're still here. We were just saying that we got to make the wise choices on where we go. So Melissa says, yes, ma'am. God put me here for a reason. I agree. God put you even in my live chat tonight to say, Cynthia, get your act together and have that faith. And we can help each other. So I do have faith. I do kind of struggle sometimes. And that's what makes us human. Ron says, I got faith there. Someone who gets it. Yes. And like I said, I feel and I live it when I have the faith that it works out. It works out. Kalibi says, I've been single since year 2000 when I left that 16-year relationship with a narc. And a lot of us go through that where it's a long time before we trust. We have to heal. We have to learn. Zanny says, me too, Ron. Safest 7 years I've ever spent. Made good use of my time and studied. What did you study? About relationships or other things? Kalibi says, looking back at my experiences at my 16-year relationship, my former partner was a narcissist. And Melissa says, do you have any diagnosed stuff? Are you talking about me? No, I've passed like 4 different things. Because I like I went through 4, like through my custody battles and then also my degrees in criminal justice. So I had to take some psychological tests to see if I qualified to be a police officer. So I am not diagnosed with anything. Mimi says, can I leave and come to your school? Okay. I wish it was that easy, but I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I wouldn't. We all have traumas, but yeah, I've gone through 4 psychological evaluations with nothing coming up. Pizzo said, "Hi, Pizzo. Good to have you here." Melissa says, "I think a lot of us on here have there, you know, and there's no shame in having something, you know, whether it's anxiety or depression or ADHD or autism. A lot of it is just navigating who we are. So even if you have something, even the narcissist, like if the narcissist would say, this is who I am, I struggle with it, how can I do better? Anyone watch Susan Winters, a love therapist? I don't know who she is. Huh. Kalibi says, tell me about her. Melissa says, I think a lot of us on here have. What about you? Do you want to share? Melissa says, it is easy. Okay, come on over. Melissa says a narcissist would never say that. I know, and that's the problem. That is the problem. And that's why if anything's going to change, they got to hit rock bottom. And sometimes when we try to enable them, make their life easier, they're not going to hit rock bottom. So they will continue to abuse. And that's why it's hard. They might learn their lesson, but apply it to somebody else. So we feel like we missed out. But if we really love the person and we want them to do better, you know, sometimes letting somebody go. But I agree, you know, they're not going to sit there. No, Mimi, Melissa is in here. Melissa is in here too. So we got Mimi and Melissa. Melissa says no rock bottom for them. It is incurable. Yeah, they can. But if they still have their looks and they still have money, they'll be okay. They can manipulate. unless they're really good. Hello from Tennessee. Hi, Jason. I used to live in Tennessee as well. Antioch, Laverne, and Murfreesboro. So welcome to my Michigan channel. Mystery says, subconsciously, I don't want to sleep. I get it. I don't want to sleep now either, but my body's telling me I need to go to bed pretty soon. Melissa says, no, they will always be who they are. You don't think do you think they'll ever do better? Do you think they'll ever do better? Ron says, narcissists, real narcs don't get till they get wrecked and karma kicks down the door. There are times they will be humbled. Divine intervention, but it's not likely. It's not likely. Mysterious says all personality disorders are the old personality. Pretty much. And it's ingrained in them. It's really hard to change your comfort level. So you live in West Tennessee. How's the weather out there? Are you under flood warnings? West might be okay. They're talking about the hurricanes. So just want to make sure you guys are safe. Melissa says those who can't control themselves become serial killers. Yeah. And I think hello, Phil. Good to have Phil joining us. Hello. It's a power thing, or a thrill seeking or a boredom thing. So Jason says, yep, going to get some rain. So then you get to stay in and pop some popcorn and watch TV or scroll TikTok. And you had too much of an energy mix, too much caffeine. I get it. Ron says, usually you don't get to see it. Yes, we don't always see the karma coming their way. Facebook, if you can kind of tell me that you guys are here. I see people joining in. Hit that like button or comment so I know you're here. Usually don't get to see it when they learn what they've been doing to others. Yeah. And a lot of times they just don't care. It's like, whatever. They don't have the empathy. They don't feel it. And when we have the empathy, it makes us uncomfortable. So we want to do something to make it feel better. So if I see somebody hurting, I want to help them. Or if I see somebody trying to communicate, like I get where it kind of hurts when I feel unheard. So with the empathy, you try to hear them out. And the narcissist doesn't feel that. Tomorrow is finally Friday. I agree, Mimi. Jason says, ride a John boat, LOL. There you go. We had it once where our street flooded and kids were like in a canoe going down our street. It was kind of cool. Melissa says, I live in Georgia waiting for the storm. Oh, definitely be safe. Cynthia, do I have any compulsions? No, I don't have any addictions or compulsions. Like, I will say that, well, let's see. Do I have any compulsions? I have, like, I'm a kind of a workaholic, which that's not always good. I do get distracted because I call it, I had the superwoman syndrome where I feel I can do anything. And when you feel you can do anything, it's kind of like you want to accomplish everything. And there's only so much one person can do. So I don't know. I do sometimes get fixated on certain things. Sometimes I need to let things go. So I do struggle with that sometimes. Or take things too personally, I also noticed, after narcissistic abuse, sometimes Melissa says I have to wash my hands constantly. What brought that on? I know I was in nursing school. Sometimes you get a little paranoid about microorganisms. But do you know, I know my daughter struggled with that during the West Nile virus or the bird flu. My ex she was petting a bird that died. And he said something like, you got to be careful. The avian flu freaked her out, and she was pouring like hydrogen peroxide on her hands to the point they were chemically burnt, just because of that. Jason says, good vibes, darling. Much love to you too, Jason. Mimi, every time I see you, you always brush your hair. I told you this is my hair brushing time. You're right. Trying to make it grow longer. Melissa says, I'm a nurse, but had it before that. Maybe you went into nursing to save the world from bacteria and viruses. I know after nursing school, I definitely never reuse a towel. Great job. You've gone live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. 12:36. Cynthia, Mysterious says OCD is real, but if you're naturally religious, your obsessions and compulsions are religious. Okay, I can see that. Yeah, my dad kind of had an obsession with religion. Bryson is here. Got a lot of cool names in here today. And I'm still waiting on Facebook to comment so I can see that you guys are live, that it's keeping the connection. But so what type of a nurse are you? I was in nursing school, almost miscarried my daughter, so I dropped out. Moved across state. It was over 2 years before I went back, so I had to repeat everything. Then they closed my school on me. So I was 2 classes away from being a registered nurse, and then I went on to get my criminal justice, went on to law school, and then decided to be a teacher. And now I want to do therapy. What do I believe in? As far as God, I believe, tell me what you mean. I believe in God. I believe that, I believe in the good in people. I believe that the devil overtakes people. I believe that there are demons out there. I believe some demons are demons, and others are kind of like temptation demons, where it's not necessarily an entity. It's like a personal struggle. I believe that I believe in the self-fulfilling prophecy that what we feel will cause us how to react. They had that Chinese proverb that I was talking about. Be careful of your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words become your actions become your destiny. And like I've seen that in hindsight play out. Mimi says, okay, well, I'm tired. I will talk to you later. Good night. I love you. I love you too. Whatever. Oh, whatever I believe in. No attitude. I'm a high school teacher, so whatever. You mean whatever I believe in. Do you believe that God is the good in the world? Us following God is the good in the world. And us not following God is the bad in the world. It's like a tool to bring joy. So it's kind of like us inviting God into our lives. So he's a part of it. It's hard to put things into words. I think we have a part in it, though. The good in me is my choices, which are inspired by God, and letting God into me. So you say that's a beautiful way to think. And yeah, it's there's something to the religion, and I hate that sometimes we feel we have to shy away from it. I did that for a while on my channel, but there's so much to it. There's so much to it. Debbie says, the narcissist I know, I believe he is a demon. And this is what I feel. Okay. It's almost like they're infected. So Melissa says, I believe what you are saying. So we've dealt with these narcissists. Sometimes they're like wonderful people. Other times they're evil. I think they're kind of infected. If they get rid of this demonic infection, that they could be good. but they let it fester. So just like the diseases that we get, if we take care of them, they don't get bad. Mimi, I'll be on, I'll aim for 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. So you're what, 3 hours? So around 6 or 7, maybe 8 o'clock your time. So hold on, guys. So early evening tomorrow. Do I test my beliefs? My beliefs are tested. The eyes. Yeah, you can see it in the narcissist. So what I was saying is, I love you, Mimi. So we can heal. We can heal when we have viruses or bacteria. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes that's our destiny. We're sick, we're gonna die. So I think there are some that were so overtaken. Do I even want to say that? Too overpowered. I don't know. Let me think on that one. But Melissa says, I understand the diseases of the brain are complicated. And they're very complicated. But there's also so many miracles. And how we have certain brain damage because of narcissistic abuse, we do adapt. And I know people are freed from these demons. And I had a hard time going to church for a while because I was so angry at God, and it was painful to go to church. But there's a purpose in what we've gone through. Melissa says families are affected. They are definitely affected. And that's where we talk about the generational trauma. And sometimes it's, there is some genetic things, components to it, which is kind of mind-blowing. Like how like the fetal alcohol syndrome, or people who are predisposed to different mental illnesses and different things. Why do things run in families? Sometimes it's, what is nature versus nurture? And they do the twin studies, and it's fascinating. Run says, I had many experiences that showed me God exists, and many things that showed me demons and devils, the devil exists too. And that's what brought me to God is Ouija boards. Is I'm like, there is definitely something evil out there. So if there's something evil out there, it brought me to God. Don't do Ouija boards. Debbie says, if they repent to God, he will forgive them, but they have to change. Yeah, it's not just, I murdered someone today. I'm going to do it tomorrow, but I'm sorry for this one. You got to definitely change. And I think we're meant to go through struggles. The more struggles we go through, take it as a hug. Take it as God saying, I need you to come closer. And if you learn the lesson quickly, you have a struggle, go to God, you're all good. Don't go to God, you're going to have more struggles. But the more struggles you have, take it as love. Take it as love that God's trying to say, come to me. That's a hard lesson. It's like I'm hurting because God wants me closer. It's like, what the frick? Debbie says the narcissist was not born a narcissist. He made that choice to follow the devil. And the thing is a lot of them have been hurt, and it is a self-protection. It is a self-protection. And as they get older, hi, Scott. Oh, Scotty Herder is here. Feel free to say hello. They do have choices. And sometimes people don't realize what's going on within them because they're in, and that's like the devil overtaking them. They don't want to hear it. We all have personal struggles. So Mike is here, and guys, I'm getting a little bit dizzy. It is almost 1 in the morning, almost. So I'm going to go ahead and log off. I will be live tomorrow, early evening. So lots of love to you guys. Thank you for joining. Scotty, thank you for joining. Run says, my ex said, I don't believe in the devil, then proceeded to do evil. I kept warning her, the devil works can boomerang right back on you, and she didn't get it. Yeah, some people, they just want to believe what they want to believe, and they don't want to hear anything. So then they go through life destroying other people. So feel free to let me know your topic request for tomorrow. I'm getting pretty dizzy, so I know I'm going to sleep good. But thank you, Melissa, for the gift. You are my #1 gifter tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll get through this one day at a time, guys. Thanks so much. Feel free to hit the like, and I'll see you soon. Good night, guys.